Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Wednesday, April 20th, 2016, around 3:26 in the afternoon in Billerica, Massachusetts. A sunny day out today, about 60 degrees, lots of sunshine, a little bit chilly, but it's going to get better. Thursday and Friday in the 70s, a taste of great spring weather, but this weekend's going to be back in the 50s, and next week looks to be in an unsettled pattern with a lot of cool and raw and damp weather. Some news to report. The Philadelphia Eagles traded for the number 2 pick overall in the NFL draft from the Cleveland Browns. The Browns get the number 16th pick, which was the Eagles pick. And also, the Minnesota Timberwolves are on the verge of signing Tom Thibodeau to become their next head coach. It's going to be a 5-year deal. The Timberwolves are a team to watch in the next few years. And some sad news to report. Former NBA player and Syracuse men's basketball legend Pearl Washington passed away at the age of 52 due to brain cancer, so prayers to his family. And Fox News host John Stossel has been diagnosed with lung cancer, but he said they caught it early and he is hopeful that he could beat it. So prayers to him. Cancer sucks big time, in my opinion. I hope one of these days there is a cure for all types of cancers, 100% curable. And that's about it on news. My second video blog subject of the day is about NHL on ESPN. The NHL had ESPN as its top cable partner for many, many years, and in early 90s to the mid 2000s, they were famous for a National Hockey Night, and there has not been an NHL game played on ESPN since 2004. Background on the NHL on ESPN. In the early 1980s, when ESPN was starting, during the 1981-1982 seasons, the NHL had a contract with ESPN to broadcast a limited amount of regular season games from Washington, Buffalo, Minnesota, Colorado, and the New York Islanders. And these games were shown across the country, but they were blacked out in the home teams' markets and the road teams' market to protect their local cable coverage, so ESPN would broadcast a select number of playoff games. ESPN was not the major rights holder to the NHL on cable during the early 1980s. It was the USA Network. So in 1982, ESPN stopped broadcasting NHL games for the time being because USA signed an exclusive deal to broadcast all the NHL games until 1984-1985 season. But when that contract expired, ESPN outbid the USA Network for a 3-year contract beginning in 1985 to broadcast 33 regular season games plus the All-Star game and the Stanley Cup playoffs, including the entire conference finals and Stanley Cup finals, and all of these games were non-exclusive. They were subject to local blackout in the markets, the home team's markets, and ESPN's hockey coverage was pretty good during the 1980s. They had like Mike Embrick and Sam Rosen and Ken Wilson alternating for being the top play-by-play announcers. Also, its analysts included Bill Clement and Mickey Redman, and they showed the All-Star game as well, and they had a lot of features on Sports Center for the NHL, because in the mid-1980s, the NHL was probably ESPN's top property for professional sports, and the ratings were pretty decent. But in 1988, ESPN was outbidded for NHL coverage for cable by Sports Channel America, and that was a big mistake because ESPN was in a lot of homes and Sports Channel America was only in 1 and 10 homes, and it was a kind of a regional sports network. So the areas that did not have Sports Channel affiliate, they had a Sports Channel America for the NHL, and the NHL was out of ESPN for about 4 years, but they covered it a lot on Sports Center. In 1992, ESPN made a bid to reacquire NHL games from Sports Channel America, and they did, and they rebranded the NHL games National Hockey Night, and they had a cool thing, do 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 do, and its top broadcasting team was Gary Thorne and Bill Clement, and they had John Saunders hosting in between periods, and they got a lot of regular season games, plus a lot of playoff games, including the conference finals and finals exclusively, meaning ESPN was the only, it could only be shown on ESPN exclusively without regional or local broadcasts. And also in 1992 and 1992-93 season and 93-94, ESPN bought time on ABC to show playoff games and regular season games regionally, and this was a kind of a beneficial thing. That was produced by ESPN, and they had like Bill Clement and Gary Thorne and Tom Mees do the games on ABC. And also when ESPN2 was developed in 1993, a lot of games were on the Deuce, and they had their own post-game show called ESPN Hockey Tonight, which was hosted by Bill Pito, and it was a review of all of the hockey games during the night. And also Barry Melrose was an analyst for it, and it continued to grow. ESPN's Hockey Night, National Hockey Night, and it got ratings. All the games were like, the regular season games were like non-exclusive, and they were blacked out on ESPN in the home markets, and sometimes they would show an alternate game from a regional sports network in those cities that could not were blacked out from the game, and it continued to grow high. And also ESPN had some Stanley Cup Finals games. They shared it with Fox, and in 1999 and 2000, a new contract with ESPN was signed with the National Hockey League, was exclusive to ESPN and ABC. It was a 5-year contract, and ESPN produced all the games on ABC, which had some regular season games and the All-Star game and games 3 through 7 of Stanley Cup Finals on ABC exclusively. And plus, in that contract, they had 2 exclusive games each year from every NHL team that they play 2 exclusive games on ESPN, meaning none of the local broadcasters could broadcast those games, so it was more exposure for the NHL to be on ESPN. NHL Tonight was still going on strong, and a lot of games were on ESPN2, and most of the playoff games were shown on ESPN and ESPN2, especially the first two round games. The first 2 rounds were on ESPN or ESPN2, but there were some that weren't. And by 2002, when the NBA signed a contract with ESPN, most of the games were eliminated from the first ESPN for NHL. Only a select handful of games. Many of them were on the Deuce, and it was like the NHL was being cut down on ESPN because of paying more money for the NBA. And then in 2004-2005 season, ESPN signed a new deal with the NHL, which had an opt-out clause if there was an NHL lockout. The new ESPN NHL deal was to be that there was only going to be 60 games on ESPN2, but the All-Star game and select playoff games and the first two games of the Stanley Cup Finals were going to be on ESPN exclusively, and the deal with ABC was basically eliminated because the new over-the-air network was going to be NBC, and they didn't pay a rights fee when they picked up the NHL at first. And that got ESPN mad because why they're paying $60 million when there was an NHL lockout in 2004-2005 that wiped out the season, and ESPN used that opt-out clause to end their relationship with the NHL on cable. NHL was forced to take a deal with OLN, which evolved into Versus, and now it's NBCSN, and that deal is going to last till the year 2021. And basically after that happened, when the ESPN opted out of the NHL coverage, most NHL coverage on ESPN Sports Center has been dwindled. There's sometimes Sports Center doesn't even show highlights of NHL games that much, but if it's like big games or the playoffs, they show highlights, and Barry Melrose is there. And I thought ESPN's National Hockey League coverage was awesome. It brought great exposure to the NHL, and I wish it continued today. But once the lockout happened and ESPN was mad that they were paying money while NBC got it for free, they just wanted to opt out. And it's sad. Also, it's kind of sad to see ESPN not having too much hockey coverage on Sports Center. That's the worldwide leader in sports, and it would be good if the NHL had a lot of exposure on Sports Center, but ESPN Sports Center is now just talk, and they talk mainly about the NFL and NBA and Major League Baseball and college football and college basketball. But maybe in 2021 ESPN will try to get back the NHL. They should, but it remains to be seen. That's about it on this video blog. The third and final video blog is coming up, and it will be about my personality profile. Tonight's personality profile is NHL reporter for Sportsnet in Canada, Chris Simpson. Keep calm, everybody. I'm a Julia Bunner guy. Molly Roseblood of WCC All Accent has nice legs. Elizabeth Hart's so stunning. She's the best. Amy Swensey's awesome. Linda Church of WPIX Channel 11 in New York is the greatest. Julie Gower of Fox 25 is so cute, and she's got nice legs. And in the words of Sean Lucha, get out. See you later. Goodbye, everybody.